Hey guys, it's Scott with Scotty B Cards. Thanks for hopping on. Today I wanted to discuss Panini Optic and Panini Prizm in regards to baseball card collecting and if it's something that you should consider doing. Panini does not have a current baseball license. In 2009, MLB gave the exclusive license to Topps, which the reason behind this is because there was Upper Deck and a bunch of other small companies. The state of the hobby wasn't good and they thought consolidating the card market would be the best thing for the brand, and it turns out it might have been. Cards have definitely gotten bigger since 2009. And they chose Topps mainly because since 1952, baseball cards have looked the way they do under Topps' name. There's been competitors that have come in and out. In 1950, Bowman, like the 1950s, Bowman challenged Topps for the exclusivity of baseball cards or the ability to print them, and it was a big mess. So Topps eventually won, and that's kind of the same situation we have today. Topps is the sole provider of baseball cards. But what Panini did do is they made a deal with the Major League Baseball Players Association to print photos of the players, but because they don't have to deal with MLB, they cannot put the logos of the team on the hats or the helmets or the jerseys. Can't say the Nationals, for example, as you can see from Juan Soto here. Let's find, like right here, they always try to hide the front of the jersey. Reason being is because the card looks better if there's something on there. A lot of people call these, here's a good example of one. For example, here, you can see on it, there isn't a Nationals logo on the helmet or the sleeve or on the jersey. A lot of people call these pajama cards for that reason because they kind of look like they're wearing pajamas. But the main thing is Panini is releasing these products and they're actually gaining steam and popularity, especially pre-2019, because in pre-2019, these cards, like the Prizm, for example, right here, and even Optic, some of the cards were only available in the set called Chronicles. Chronicles was a set that was basically 15 products in one. So in order to get, you might get 3 or 4 Prizm cards a box, is all maybe 1 Prizm Silver, and it's a relatively large checklist, and so those cards are extremely short printed because there are so many different sets involved. That's where Juan Soto's cards came from, and you can see here that it's $40 for a Prizm card. It's essentially the same price, or maybe a little bit more, for an update card of Juan Soto. That's the main thing that Panini has going against them, is just the logos and lack thereof, while Topps is able to print those. So that's the first thing. So I guess, why are these currently rising? The main thing I want to point out is they're rising right now because all baseball is rising right now. These are not exempt from the market. These are baseball cards that are going to go up as all the other Topps cards go up. So that's the first thing. But there are more reasons, and I think these will have continuous growth for these other reasons. The next one is they are very low population, meaning there is a very finite supply of these versus some Topps cards and a growing demand. And that growing demand is coming from other collectors from other sports who know the space of Panini Prizm and Optic and all these other brands. They know about these products. They know the silvers, the hollows, all of those things. So I just wanted to dig into some pop reports. And Topps doesn't do a fantastic job, in my opinion. They obviously make the flagship. It's like this is Juan Soto's flagship rookie. With him, it makes more sense because he only has his image. But if Topps had their way, they would do what they did with Acuna and some other players and print, like, he has his flagship Topps update. Same with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They both have their flagship Topps update, but then they have short prints in Series 2. So people want the Series 2, which devalues the update and all of those things. Also, Acuna does not have the same Topps Chrome photo as his flagship card, and his Topps Chrome update photo does not have the same image as his flagship card. So it's tough to know when you're coming into the market from being a basketball collector, like, what card should I buy? So they go with what they know, which is Prizm and Optic, which makes sense. But for me, I still think the key investment card that you'd want to look at is going to be the flagship rookie. But Juan Soto, so that 104 is his rookie debut. It's not nearly as valuable, so the pop is low on that. But you want to look at the US 300, and this is from PSA. This is just their pop report. You can just type in any set and pull it up and pull up a player. But Juan Soto here, he has almost 15,000 PSA 10s, which is a ton of PSA 10s. For example, the Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck card, like the one that had 3 million copies made, is kind of where it's roughly estimated. It only has 4,000 PSA 10s. And I think this number will hold it down. And let's be honest, that number's so low because that Griffey card has bad centering issues because it was the first card on the sheet. When it was cut, it made it so it was always off center. And it's from 1989, and grading became popular now. While now they just open the pack, send it right in. But the main thing I want to point out is these will not be able to ever have as much leverage as that Griffey card because there's just so many. And this goes up almost every day. If you check, it will be at least a few more 10s every single day. And now we're almost at 22,000 total cards graded of this Juan Soto iconic image card. But if you go over to Panini Donruss, this was released as a standalone set outside of Chronicles, but Soto didn't make the set because he debuted later in the year, so he's in Panini's Chronicles Donruss Optic. So kind of confusing, but this is a way that Panini basically has an update set where they can include players that were later. So if you go to Soto, look at the difference. 44 total graded of his base card. And this is for Optic, which I can show that image real quick. Actually, open up a new tab. This is the image of it. This is Donruss, not Optic. This is the Optic. So it's a really good looking image, and honestly, it's a really clean design, really simple, straightforward, good looking card. But there's not many of those. Like I said, there are only 44 of those, and there are a lot of parallels. They called these Prizms in Optic, and then the Prizms Hollows in Prizm, which is opposite of basketball. Usually the Prizms are silvers, and you get the point. So he only has 11 Prizm silvers, or these are hollows in Optic, but he only has 11 of those, which is extremely short printed, and here's the gold out of 10. One of those are graded. If you did like a ratio 1 out of 10 versus 11, the other's 110 total Prizm silvers. There's probably more, but you get the idea that it's extremely low compared to the Topps cards, which is one reason why these are climbing so quickly. People don't want to miss out on the bandwagon, so they buy some. And even myself, this is Acuna, but I picked up, and this is going to be backwards because it's facing me on the camera, I apologize, but this is an Acuna out of $299 Optic card. And I picked it up because Soto's cards were going up so high, which I can show here. Let's go up. You know, these are Prizm, not Optic, but it's the same thing. You can even see a Select that's 120 bucks. The Optic Hollow went for around $100. So I was like, okay, well, this is a good buy at $60. It's already graded. Don't love SGC myself, but I respect them enough to know it's in good condition. So I picked it up pretty cheap. And let's go look at Ronald Acuna real quick to show you that it's not just Soto. Acuna's even more pop. His iconic rookie card is his flagship, is what I should say, is the at bat and blue jersey, the US 250. It has almost 17,000 PSA 10s and a total pop of around 25,000. So 25,000 are graded. It makes you wonder if this is usually it's about a fourth to, maybe half of the cards are graded at one time. There's probably 50 to 100,000 plus of these cards, They aren't very rare. If we go look at Donruss Optic, which is not a Chronicle subset, so there are going to be more of them most likely. There are 186 total graded, 87 PSA 10s, and 91 9s. So you can see in the ratio, it's harder to grade these, they're tougher to find, and that's why they are starting to get that premium, which is pretty cool. I actually think that's one really cool thing about these sets. This will change. If Prizm or Optic gets popular, Panini will just print a bunch more. So this kind of applies from 2012 when it was first introduced, and that was Bryce Harper's rookie, so that's a really cool card to look at if you can afford it. It's around $500 for a BGS 95 silver. All the way until 2018, even 2019 a little bit, it wasn't super popular, but they're climbing up and Panini will match demand, which they should. Topps is doing it and Panini's going to take some of that share. But let's look up Acuna on Prizm. We'll do the same with Soto. So his Prizm card, he only has 48 10s, 70 total graded, and you can see all of them are low numbered. This is out of 299. This is the hollow, so there's actually less hollows graded than the Hypers, which is out of 299, which is pretty cool. Let's go grab a Soto now. And Soto has only 50 total graded and 36 10s. If I wanted to buy a Soto Prizm rookie, this is the Hyper out of 299, like I was saying with Acuna. But it is a pretty good looking card. These designs, I think the Select looks really good. I like the Donruss Optic the best myself. But let's go look at non-sold listings. Let's see how much of those are going for. I think they're 40 bucks like we talked about. Yeah, $35. So that really isn't a bad buy. Right here, I'm actually going to watch this myself because if it goes low enough, that'd be a pretty good card to pick up. $25 your best offer. These are actually pretty cool in my eyes, and I will get one eventually just because they are rare. So I guess that brings us to the next question is what is the short and long-term collectability and value of these cards? Short term, I think they will go up, and I think they'll go up probably in a quicker percentage than update cards would, and maybe some of the other rookies would go up. And this is just because Panini makes sense in regards to their cards. They have Optic, they have Select, they have Prizm, and the people coming over will gravitate towards those because they're familiar with those brands. And on top of that, they're short printed. Like obviously, if people start collecting these will go up much faster than other cards because there's just none of them available compared to Update. Like there's 38 that match this result. You know, Juan Soto Prizm 2018, 38 results. Let's do Juan Soto Update. Let's take Chrome out of it because we don't want the Chrome to pop up. 2018. 38 versus 787 available. And this is a lot of, look how many are in this lot. Well, this is a mystery pack. Sorry, guys. The picture got me. But there's a ton of them. And there's also short prints, which these are actually a good investment. I'd love to talk about sometime. But the point remains the same, but there's just a ton more options out there for them. In the long term, I really don't know what's going to happen, and no one does. If we knew what would happen in the long term, we would all make a ton of money, and that's just impossible, especially in card collecting. I think if I'm speculating about the long term, I think it's possible that Panini eventually gets the license with Topps, and that would boost the crap out of those cards. These cards would be extremely valuable if that were to happen. The one thing I would say as well for the short term and the long term is, like I said, they're very low printed, so that will hold value. But you have to also remember that Topps has been releasing cards since 1952. The main reason these cards will be elevated in the long term is because they're scarce, and if only Panini gets that license. But Topps is going to be the iconic baseball card provider for the foreseeable future, which I think can hold down these cards and can create some pressure on them not to move. They might get stagnant, they might hit some peaks, they might stay in one place. So that's one thing I would consider when buying, is just know they are unlicensed still, and a vast majority of the collectors who collect baseball cards do not prefer that. But also remember, in baseball cards and other sports cards, people will buy into the hype always. Look at Topps Project 2020. It got extremely high. I personally never thought it was that cool, but if I would have thought it was cool, I would have gotten into it too. I didn't like the idea of buying a single encased card of a rookie that was already released. But people liked the idea of it and they bought in, and then the hype got on. People were missing money, so they all got on. That could happen here as well for the long term. So be aware of that. In my honest advice, I am going to be buying some. I'm not going to be spending huge money on these, but like I said, I did buy this, and I think this could be a good card coming up soon. So I think there's money to be made, and I think people who will take the risk will be making some money. Granted, some people taking the risk also could lose the money, which is kind of the point of the hobby, but it's fun to speculate on something a little bit different, like Panini taking on Topps with their cards. So anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I would just want to end it by saying that there's a lot of great options out there right now, and I like that Panini's giving Topps some competition. It makes Topps' cards better. So I wouldn't always trash Panini. I would just say they're healthy competition for them. But other than that, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be releasing a lot more content, probably 2 to 3 videos at least a week. Not always investment related. I will be interviewing other great collectors from my Instagram page, and I will be able to share their stories, share my stories, and share some really fun stories from the past and how you can learn lessons from them. So anyways, thanks guys. Have a great night.